Hello, this is Lisa Hazard with We Are All Psychic, and tonight at around 9:41ish p.m. in Alabama on Zoom, I am with a very beloved friend, Miss Bunny. And Bunny and I have known each other for a long time, and I love her. Hi, Bunny. Say hi.
Hi.
Bunny, do you think we're all psychic?
I think we're all psychic, but I think sometimes people just don't tap into that part of themselves.
Nice answer. I like that. That reminds me of, like a lot of conversations we've had. Yeah.
I think some people are content with how big the world is as they see it, and they just don't want it to be bigger.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a whole lot of sense, especially now for me. A lot of us, I think, yeah. So, yes. I met Bunny, I was married. I think I met you at my wedding. I don't remember. I don't know. I've known you forever, but I met you a few times, and I have a hard time with facial recognition. Listeners might not know that, but Bunny knows that very well because I couldn't remember her. I was like, it was not exactly girlfriend. I'm Bunny. I've met you, and you did this and this and this. I'm like, oh yeah, now I remember. Because you have to remind me of the conversation.
Yeah, well, I think
I was drinking.
We met at a house party at your house. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure it was, and it was when Chaz and Mikie worked together.
Yeah,
it was a work party at your house.
Oh gosh, one of the Christmas parties, probably. Yeah,
one of them, I'm sure.
One of them. And I remember doing your and Chaz's cards one night. He was very skeptical, which we were going to talk about tonight. Bunny was kind of skeptical about this stuff. Tell us about that if you want.
I am a natural skeptic. I question everything. And if I can't experience it for myself, I find it really hard to believe it. That's not to say that I don't have some kind of faith or faith in different things in my life. It's just, when it comes to that stuff, you think a lot of people who don't get into things like this, they think, oh, it's like Hogwarts. It's just movie magic, and so in my mind, it was like, well, I've never had a tarot reading. I've never done this. I've never dealt with crystals or runes. And it all just seemed not just foreign, but no, this can't be real. No. Not at all.
I'm just giggling it. You should see her face. She's a great face.
But in all honesty, I was very skeptical. I think from the first time you told me you thought I was an empath, I was very skeptical. I just was like, no. But, I sat on it for a couple of weeks and I was like, it does explain some things. How I know that I should stay away from certain people, or how I know when someone's giving me a compliment, but they don't really mean it,
Yeah, more than I can tell. Yeah, give you a little more deeper answer than I can just tell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, I spent a lot of time focusing on it and just going to my regular job every day. And the more I opened my eyes and the more I paid attention, the more I could see how people really were versus how they want everybody else to see them.
So what made you think of that as a psychic sense, like in particular, that you were realizing it as?
Well, I may have said some things to my friends, like, did you notice how they said that? Or did you notice their body language or something like that? And they'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's a really cool person. That person over there, why do you not like them? I don't understand.
Okay. So you're trying to find something that's obvious for a reason for you not to like them, or not to feel stay away from them or something like that. Well, and you couldn't find it in something in common with other people's observations, right?
Right. And so me pointing things out, at first people would be like, oh, you're crazy. And then coming around like-minded people like yourself, I noticed that you saw the same things I did. And I thought, well, maybe we're just more observant than other people. But the more time went on, you just can't deny that gut feeling that you get when you get around that person that you know you shouldn't be around.
Yeah. Like, what is that feeling? How do you identify? I mean, is there a word? We need words, people. Buddy can help me make some words on the website. But there's a word for that feeling of just, it's like, to me, it is gut. And it's also kind of like in my skin, under my skin, and like almost like a magnet pushing away from me when I feel that, you know?
Well, when people ask about, how are you gifted? You know, like when I meet people and somebody says, oh, well, she's gifted. Well, what does that mean? And the way I try to explain it in layman's terms, because like I said, a lot of people are skeptics. I just tell them that I'm clairsentient. And they're like, oh, so like clairvoyant. And I have to be like, well, no, not exactly.
You get that specific. Wow. Yeah.
Well, because clairvoyant is probably the most popular term when you think about it.
Yeah, the clairs. Yeah, it is. It's kind of a very umbrella term. So, you know, like it kind of covers, but it's mainly about, I think, like remote viewing and like, or just seeing something in your mind, you know, the seeing aspect, you know, is how I've always thought of it.
And so I do try to explain the difference in small ways. It's kind of just like knowing.
Yeah.
You kind of just know, like if you stand in front of someone and you focus enough while having a conversation, it's like you almost know how they're going to finish the sentence.
Right. Yes.
And it can be distracting because I have come across people in my life that will mouth your words to you while you're speaking, and it's distracting to me. But I have found myself in earlier days of getting into being clairsentient that I was finishing their sentences for them.
Right.
And it did start to creep people out just a little bit. And
I remember that.
I kind of pulled on the reins a little bit to slow down. But I think not everybody is open to making the world that they have created in their mind bigger than what they have. Some people are content. You know, no, I don't get into that stuff. That stuff's not real. Well, if you experience it for yourself, you'll see that it is. Right. But I think in a lot of ways it is what you make it. You know, I can't claim that I see things. I'm not clairvoyant. I don't see things like other people. But I've never met two people who are gifted the same.
Right, me neither. Right. They focus on something and develop it, kind of. It's like there's natural skills and there's like more studied skills and stuff like that I've noticed, you know.
And still in coming across skeptics, which I do on the regular when I do my readings for my clients, it's just like, well, you know, how do you do that? And I can only say, I don't really know. I'd like to tell you the answer to that, but I don't know. And I continuously question, which is a part of my skepticism. And so I always tell people, whatever you take away from any of my readings, take away questions, you know.
I like that.
You'll get answers to questions you want, and you'll get answers to questions that you never thought to ask. But you should never stop questioning.
Yes, learning, questioning. I like that a lot.
I still on the regular call you my mentor, even though you tell me regularly that you're not my mentor. But I think people should never stop questioning, and the people who stop questioning are the ones that have become content with the world around them. And so for skeptics, what I can say is, being a skeptic myself, your truth is out there. I know that sounds very X-Files.
Yeah, love it.
But your truth is out there, whether it be in tarot cards or crystals or pendulums. Everybody feels differently. Everybody experiences differently. You know, how you got into it is different than how I got into it and how I made it my own. Yes. Even if it's just being gifted and being able to tell good people from bad, it doesn't have to go any further than that if you don't want it to, but you should still never stop questioning.
I agree.
And
I agree.
That's just how I feel about it.
I feel that some people also maybe not always just comfortable, but it's hard. They don't want to. Some people are very unhappy, and they wouldn't want to look at this stuff as real because it's hard to change. It's hard to change the way you see the world, and some people don't want to change just because they're told not to. Too, they don't want to think for themselves because it's too painful or too hard for some reason. They're insecure about themselves. Maybe if by themselves, if they think about it and quietly question their experiences, they might be like, and they sure they do, but it seems like a lot of people don't want to. They want to know for sure, one way or the other, for sure, and have an answer, but they don't always like think deep and hard on it and find the answer. Like you just said, the truth for them is out there, you know.
Maybe they don't want to know the things they don't want to know.
True.
Like they want to know what they want to hear.
Maybe, yeah. This goes along. Yeah, that's right. I like that. Yeah.
They want to know what they want to hear. And there are clients that I've done readings for that, I'll come across a set of cards and, I have to think to myself, how do I get this across to them?
Right.
Without them being offended or skeptical that maybe I knew something before I did the reading. I'm not going to spend the time to do research into somebody I don't know if I'm about to do a reading.
I know, right?
First of all, it ruins the mystery of it. It ruins the magic of everything. Hogwarts. I feel like that would be a giant waste of time to go look at this person's background.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's not why. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and yeah, I never thought of that, but that's freaking funny.
Well, because that is part of the skepticism. Well, maybe this person knew because I was recommended.
Yeah,
to find the doubt, and I have found that when I do readings, especially with my main deck, when I do readings for people that are getting their first reading ever, they are incredibly skeptical, but I end up telling them things that they weren't looking for.
Yeah.
And with that deck specifically, it always ends up being something they need to hear, not something they want to hear. And so they do come away from it with a lot of clarity, but they might not get the answers that they were questioning.
Right.
Am I meant to be with this person? Relationship readings are hard for me because I have seen people get addicted to them.
Yes, that's very true. They can't learn from if they can't learn from the problem at the root of the problem, there's no help I can give. That's where I try to go with them. And things do change. Some relationships, I've had clients that the relationship has been going on for, the whole time I've been reading for them, 10 years or whatever. And, there are ups and downs, but that's not the focus of what we usually talk about. It's just like these are certain clients that I would have had for, anywhere from 3 to 5 to 10 years. And that's a big part of why they contacted me to begin with. But then it builds on other things, that they like to have someone to sound for, like kind of like a therapy kind of thing, but they have another perspective to take their life from, and some direction and advice from someone who, I don't know how it's perceived to be, because everyone I read for pretty much has some experience and some knowledge. Now, not so much when I was younger, but now it's like everybody kind of knows what a psychic reading's like. At least I didn't know what one was like until I had no idea. I'd seen the seances and movies and stuff. I was pretty young, and
movie magic.
Yeah, movie magic. Oh, yeah.
I still get a lot of people who have never had a reading. I do get those kind of rude, skeptical people that are like, you know, this is the devil. That's the devil.
And then they
and
talk to you for hours.
Yeah. And then it's like, why I was raised believing this is the devil. Well, guess what? My mother was Pentecostal. I grew up believing that even a scary movie in the household was the devil. So, you know, it's all in what you make it.
Right.
If you can't be open-minded, then I don't recommend it, because you're just going to leave more frustrated.
Yeah, we don't want you frustrated.
We don't want you frustrated, you know, and I can't say that I take away any satisfying feelings from that in me explaining. Sure, I could tell you what's going on. Sure, I could tell you what the cards recommend. I can tell you what I think the best course of action is. But if I'm in the middle of doing a reading with you and I'm doing cards and I stop and I'm like, are you an alcoholic? You know, and it just comes to me, and it's like, whoa, how did you know that? Have you been talking to so and so? You know, and it's like, well, no, I don't.
And it's somehow isn't it applicable to like to what they really need somehow in some way, whatever that information is you, that's kind of really hard for you to have known. You know, it seems like that to me, you know.
It all really does come together.
Yeah, right. In the end, it's like it's just like everything's directing all together, because you work with it all, like different, like cards and runes, and sometimes you just go and, you know, you just, that's kind of what I do. I kind of utilize a lot of different tools at once if I feel it, and, you know.
But yeah, I get a lot of first timers, which is fine. I don't mind being that first step into these kinds of things. I guess I should say, like, I feel like calling it psychic all the time just seems really cheesy in my mind, because I'm so skeptical.
Yeah.
And to the skeptics, it's going to sound cheesy anyway. Yeah. And so I usually just say, I'm gifted.
Yeah.
I'm gifted, and there's things I can do, and there are people who can do far more things than me that, you know, I can't help but be envious of sometimes. But I do want someone's first experience in getting any kind of reading to give them clarity.
Right.
And feel better about it. And instead of, oh, you know, well, I felt she was a second away from pulling out a Ouija board, you know.
Yeah.
I try to modernize it a little bit more than that. You know, I appreciate spirit boards for what they are, but there are some skeptics who can be open-minded and some that can't.
Yes. Yeah. Why not, do you think? Why can't they? What's the reason of them not being able to be open-minded to it?
I would say, if I could akin it to anything, it would be like people who are super religious and they are against anything that is LGBT.
Yeah. And
their only reasoning is because it's what they were taught in the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
they're afraid, aren't they? Or is it just
I think a lot of it is fear, and I think it is fueled by peer pressure, social pressure.
Yes. Yes.
You know.
Have you noticed it changing now, though? Or in the last 5 or 6 years to 10 years, like people are like I've talked about it on the show before. Our book's $1 million. The whole front of it is body, mind, spirit, you know, an indicator. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just crazy to me. It's me. Yeah.
There's a place in Huntsville called Second and Charles, I believe.
Yeah.
And they have a whole section where they sell tarot cards and overpriced crystals and psychic bookmarks and things to do your chi. Like, I guess it could be a not so bad starting place if you wanted to start out. But I found that everything I learned was from experience or just reading.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or immersing myself with other people. And I found that even in the psychic community, opinions differ.
Oh yeah. I'd love to get into that. That's why a lot of these videos are intros too.
Yeah. Intro to skepticism.
No, wow. It's a whole show.
No, there's Facebook groups and there's Reddit groups, and while I have learned things and met some really amazing people like Megan, yeah, in meeting other people, I found there are a lot of people who differ from my opinion of what being gifted should be for someone.
Right.
And you kind of have to realize that being gifted is different for everyone, and that there are some people who can't handle being gifted.
Yeah.
That can't go out and do their shopping until midnight because there's less people in Walmart.
Yeah, I was one of those. Yeah.
And that's okay. I don't bear a grudge, or I'm not judgmental about that. It's always curious to me. I never stop asking questions, right? So I'm like, well, how does it affect you so badly that you can't even be around people? You're gifted. You're gifted so you can help people, right? But you're too scared of people to help them or go out in public. And I think it is too much. And that's why there are some people who don't want their world to be any bigger than it already is.
It's true. Yeah. And some of those people, like I was like that a lot, and I took medications, and I think we had talked about wanting to discuss that. You had asked, like, what, like, if I take medication, will it affect my psychic side? For depression or for the overwhelming parts of, not, it is also physical, some of the distortions that we feel in our body and in our mental illness is physical illness. That's why they treat it anyway. They treat it with medicines that affect your physical body, your chemistry. So.
I questioned that a couple years ago. In having depression, anxiety, and that can just be fueled from a fear of socializing. It can come with having PTSD, which is something that I carry. You sometimes you got to do what's best for you. Right. And if that is seeing a therapist or getting tarot readings or taking medication, like in my case, I take medication for PTSD and depression and anxiety, and it helps me level out my thoughts more than I thought it would.
Did it help or hurt your psychic side? Did you see a difference?
It gave me more clarity of mind in myself. And I wouldn't say that it helped or hurt any gifted abilities I had. It just made it easier for me to connect with them. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Maybe all the other stuff wasn't in the way anymore. It's kind of how.
I was able to get a hold on myself. Yeah. So that I could get in touch with my gifted abilities. And so I wasn't really afraid anymore. Is this medicine going to affect my ability to do tarot readings and help other people? Because that's always been my thing. You know me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And so taking the medicine.
You take it seriously. You take your readings very seriously when you give them.
Yeah. So, yeah. I was so scared at first because I'd come so far and I didn't want it to go 10 steps back or 20 steps back. Right. And it ended up just giving me a lot more clarity in my head, which freed up my thoughts. And it's hard to explain.
I know what you're talking about. It is hard to explain. For me, it was clearing out all the gunk that my brain was creating around the information I was getting. Like, let's say there's a rainbow. Like you can say like all those information, the psychic information. Let's just say it comes in a rainbow color, and there's all these different red, blah blah blah. We all know what a rainbow colors are, but maybe you can't see purple, because the blue is so bright or something like that. And for me, the medication helped me like, okay, wait, that color that I saw in between the green and the blue, green and the, blue, I was like, no, wait, I saw like something that doesn't exist, and that's a hallucination, and I kind of picked out the things that weren't supposed to be in the rainbow with the medication just took it all out. I didn't filter it. It was,
It reminds me of that song, I Can See Clearly Now, the rain is going. That is essentially is what it felt like. And, if you're depressed or have anxiety or you're bipolar or, any of the mental illnesses that absolutely become physical in the long run, taking care of yourself has to come first. Just as in any relationship, it's just, if you can't love yourself, you can't love other people. Yeah. If you can't help yourself, you can't help other people. So to anybody who is worried about taking medication and it affecting their abilities, I honestly, once I found the right medicine that worked for me, it didn't affect me at all. It just made things so much easier.
Yeah. And manageable too. Yeah.
So manageble. But we're all human.
Yeah.
And I like that. We're all human. We're all fallible. We can be wrong sometimes and make wrong choices.
Yeah.
But that's what the tarot readings are for, to guide us in the right direction.
That's right. So I want to ask you, do you have any advice for people just starting out, like exploring this stuff, maybe listening to this podcast? Maybe they are skeptics. What would be your advice to a skeptic, maybe? And also someone who's not a skeptic and is just learning.
I have advice and I have a small story to give for that. I'll tell the small story first because it'll make sense in the end. If you'll remember that day that I got Reiki for the first time.
Mm-hmm. I've talked about that on the show before, on this podcast.
So in about my first time having Reiki.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just said it from my point of view about the Reiki itself. I didn't tell your experience though.
Oh, well, I had an instance where I met someone who just totally clouded everything. Like, I don't even remember driving home that day.
That's a weird one. Yeah. Tell them about that experience. Yeah. I make you. I
don't mind. So I was coming out of work and I walked past a lady and she was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I was like, "Hi." So this is before all the COVID stuff. This was a few years ago. And she was like, "How's your mom?" And I didn't know this lady 10 ways from Sunday, but the way she looked at me and the way she spoke to me was very like warm and inviting. Like I knew her, but I didn't know her. And so the logical part of me was like, I don't know who this is. And then the rest of me just kind of felt clouded over like, oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And she didn't make a whole lot of sense in the conversation. She kept calling me a princess and that my mom was a queen. And, my mom's been ill.
You don't know this person at all. Yeah.
No, I don't know this person. And before I knew it, my back was to the wall and her back was to the parking lot. And I didn't even feel trapped at that point, which was so strange. Normally, I'm a really offensive I'm on the offense. I'm not offensive.
I'm offensive ass. Yeah.
Normally, I'm one of those people that's on the offense.
Yeah. And
I have the kind of bigger presence in that I don't like people on high horses. And, I'm kind of like that sheriff.
Yeah.
Or I don't know how to put it.
Yeah.
And before I realized
morality sheriff.
Yeah. And this before I knew it, this lady had backed me into a wall and I didn't even feel trapped. And so by the end of it, I was like, oh, well, it was good to see you again. Even though I didn't really know who she was, and that logical part of me was like, leave. What are you doing? Leave. And I shook her hand, and the next thing I know, I'm sitting in my car in my driveway. And I was sick to my stomach, and I was very hungry. I'm not really sure why I was really hungry, but I remember calling you and being like, what just happened? I know we all have times when we're driving and it's like, oh shit, did I stop at that stop sign? But this was I lived 10 minutes from work at the time and I don't remember driving home. How long have I been in the driveway?
You don't even remember getting in your car to leave, did you? Like you said, you were up against the wall, and then it's weird. Took her hand,
and that was it. And so you were like, "Look, I'm insisting that you come over and you have Reiki done." And I was like, "Come on, I don't believe in that stuff.
I make you."
And so you kind of strong armed me into coming over the phone. So no, I mean, really, I chose to come over, but I came over, and April was going to do my Reiki, and I kind of just told her a little bit of what happened. She was like, "Okay, I just need you to, lay down on the couch and put your head on this end of the couch." And being a skeptic, I have to experience it and feel it for myself. And that was an intense experience. Normally, for me being gifted, I can just kind of feel that tingle in my hands. And when I had the experience with that lady in the parking lot, I couldn't feel my hands. Oh, and it was so like somebody had put rubber bands around my hands and just stopped me being able to connect with that part of myself. Yeah. And so I'm laying on the couch, and April says, "Do you care if I put on some peaceful music?" She put on like some Zen music, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, this seems a little cheesy, but I'll go with it, Mm-hmm. And I laid there and I closed my eyes, and because I'm clairsentient, I kind of know where people are in the room if my eyes are closed, or if someone's going to sneak up on me. It's a feeling. Yeah. And when she stood above my head, where my head was on the arm of the couch, I felt like this really cool, refreshing waterfall over me. And it was just like whoosh, and it was just like air, but it wasn't anything that you could feel with your regular senses. And I just had this, all I could see behind my eyelids was purple. Yeah. And so she does the Reiki, she touches my head, my throat, my chest, my hands, my feet, and she comes back up, and, she does the Reiki. And I can't pretend I know a whole lot about Reiki. I just know what it feels like when you're getting it. Right. And me too. Yeah. It just felt like I was standing under this waterfall of like energy. Mm-hmm. And when I meditate on the regular, I see like this purple flame in the darkness. And in that purple flame, there's always an eye that looks at me. And I feel like that eyeball gives me the side eye quite a bit, because I have said and done some questionable things in my life. But I haven't given her a name, but she's there. I feel like that's definitely my third eye. And while I was getting the Reiki, the purple flame was so like loud and bright and intense. And that's all I could see and feel. If you could feel the color purple, that's what it was. Yeah. And that's the color of that chakra in the third eye is purple. Right. Yeah. And afterwards, I didn't know that at the time. I was learning that stuff at the same time you were. So afterwards, I sat up and I looked at you guys. It was just the two of you in the house. And I was like, "Did you guys feel that? Did you see that? That was incredible. What was that? It was purple." And then you both were like, "Well, yeah, we felt purple too. Like, it's very strong." And I was like, "Wow, this is intense." No drugs included. No, right? Absolutely it's just crazy. Yeah. Absolutely. You know me, like I drink at parties and I smoke regular cigarettes, and that's it. Never done a drug a day in my life. But to me, that was one of the most intense experiences. And I haven't had another one since, even though April and I keep planning it and it keeps falling through. I would most definitely get it again. Even though I was so skeptic, it was such an amazing experience, and I was more connected than I'd ever felt with being gifted. Oh. And so your advice is to try something that you wouldn't really ever like, something like that. Yeah. So my advice is never stop asking questions, because I asked a lot of questions that day before I got Reiki done. And B, if you know it's not physically going to hurt you, what does it hurt to try? It may change your mind. And I can't say have an open mind about everything and be open-minded. You can't just make someone open-minded. But if they're willing to at least try something that might blow their minds, but not hurt them,
Reiki,
why not?
Reiki is a perfect place to start. You're absolutely right.
And I can't say, nobody knows everything. Sure, there are people who have more knowledge or are more wise about being gifted and being a reader or even being a medium, which,
right.
I haven't made it that far in my gifted life.
So you say.
But I think it doesn't hurt to try. It doesn't hurt to try. Don't stop asking questions. And if you know it's not going to hurt you physically, why not? That's my advice.
That is great advice.
Because there's a lot of people who I've met who are gifted who are terrified of getting into that stuff.
Yeah.
But if they could just experience it the way that I have, then things would be so much clearer.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so
that's good advice.
I just want to encourage people, and when you don't know, find somebody you trust that you can ask.
Yeah.
I'm sure that I probably bored the crap out of you with all the questions I had to ask.
I loved it. Are you kidding? No, I hardly ever had anyone to talk to about this stuff. And you were one of the first few that I was really curious about it. And really wanted to know more. You did ask the questions. You asked lots. I loved that. I want more questions. That's why hey, people, come be on the show.
Yeah,
come be on the podcast.
Yeah. It's like I would come by your house and be like, okay, well, we'll get together and we'll have some tea. And then 8 hours later, I'm not really sure where the time went. But all we did was just talk about it and our experiences. And I think sometimes when you can talk to somebody who's like that, along with you,
right, it makes a big difference. It helped me just as much. It helped me so much to be able to talk to you about this stuff too, and to kind of find ways to show you how to work with it. It was something I always wanted to do. That's why I do the podcast. That's why I do a lot of the work I do in this field anyway. And you are, it was obvious to me, you just look at your eyes. So if you guys get a chance, we'll ask people to find you. Those eyes, you gave me the eyes, the bunny eyes. Oh, but if you want to tell them where they can see those beautiful eyes, you want to tell them where they can find you?
Yes, I have a Facebook called Psy Bunny, PSY Bunny, BUNNY. I also have an Instagram of the same name. There might be a 12 after it, like a Psy Bunny.
I think it is 12. Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's one of those. I'll send you so you can put in the link and everything.
Okay. Yeah.
But to anyone who has questions or anything that they want to know or just say, please hit me up. It doesn't have to be for a tarot reading. I'm not one of those
he loves you.
It's not
loves you.
Sure, you can have my time for $20 a minute. No, I'm not. I'm not like that.
It's worth it, but she's not going to do that to you.
I only charge for tarot readings, and I do picture readings and rune readings occasionally. I'm still working with my runes very carefully, but I got a new oracle deck. Yes, which is so cool.
Nothing like a new oracle deck.
I know. I can't wait to use it. But yeah, that's where you can find me, and I'm there for everybody. Anyone who needs me.
She is, and I think both of us would like to give a very special shout out to Megan, our friend.
Oh, yes.
We will maybe sometime we can convince Megan to maybe do a podcast about Psychic Cat. And her,
her, absolutely her. She is like my twin from across the world. We call each other twin. We're so close, and she is so gifted.
She is. She's amazingly gifted. She sees,
the things she sees and the things she can do.
She can scry. If we've never talked about her on the show, but she's our friend. It's something I haven't talked about with Psychic Cat and what we did and all that stuff. Megan is she taught me, after watching you and her. You and her worked on that together. And then you guys showed me how like more scrying works, and I found some techniques that worked with me. But she sees like amazing
you
things.
you remember that day we got together and we made our eye potion?
Yeah.
And we had tea leaves in the bottom of the cup. So we just sent her a picture.
Yeah.
And we said, which one do you think is Bunny's? Which one do you think is Lisa's? And she immediately knew whose was
his. They were the same cup, like color cup and everything. Yeah.
I think both of the cups had the same cat on it and everything.
Yeah.
She knew immediately. I think in Cat we used to play this game where I'd get a velvet black bag and I'd put something in it and you guys would have to figure out what was in it. And I put a purple Jolly Rancher in the bag one time. And she was like, something sweet. Like I taste sugar and sweetness. Is it candy? And
oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Here I'm sitting on the other side of Messenger, like, no way.
Was it happen? She's like, I just thought so. I don't know.
This
can't be for real. She experiences life very vastly differently, I think, than many people.
I think we all do.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, perspective really is called.
But she does. I just don't think sometimes that she realizes how absolutely naturally gifted she is.
No, and she doesn't realize how much she is beloved by the ones who know her either.
Yes, I love her so
how much she is thought of and how often she is missed and appreciated.
Yes, we all get busy with our daily lives, but Psychic Cat's always there.
Always.
Always.
All right. Thank you so much, Bunny. I'm so glad you did this. If you want to come back, let me know. See if we can get Megan and get her, all three of us or something. That'd be great.
I would love to come back anytime.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for listening. I will put in the description of this podcast information where you can find anything out about Bunny that you want, because you can just find that one little piece of information about her and go all the way to somewhere and find her on the internet, because that's the internet.
Yes.
I'm telling you how to do it the wrong way.
Yes, thank you.
But giving you suggestions.
Please
she would love to help. Yeah.
I will say please continue to listen to these podcasts, because Lisa is amazing and I love her very much.
I love you too. Would you cry? Thank you for listening, everybody. I'm gonna go cry. Sad, happy times, happy times, but not sad at all.
No.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.